you find adventure at the click of a button, or from the turn of a page, or the casting of a die. Join your hosts, Coniff and Shiloh, on an unforgettable journey. Questing the Multiverse.
Well, Shiloh and listener, you can probably hear it, but I am sick. Bummer.
Coniff is sick, everyone.
I know.
So you might be getting a little bit more of me than you care to. They initially signed up for, so
I think that's why they sign up, is for you.
Yeah, I'm sure that's
100%
200% correct. Not.
So anyway, I'm sick. This episode is going to be just off the cuff. It will also not be as long because both Shiloh and I, aside from me being sick, Shiloh's had one heck of a weekend, and he can chat about that if he so chooses. But with that said, we're just going to make this about whatever comes up rather than, have any sort of agenda like we typically would. So we'll just start where we normally do, though, which is what you've been up to. And Shiloh, you have just been slammed with all sorts of stuff. Do you want to run our listener through all those things?
Yeah, it has nothing to do with gaming.
No, that's fine. It's
just
in some way it does. At least one of the things, sort of adjacent.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I just been really busy at work. I have no idea exactly what's going down. You would expect, a week or two we would be, we'd prepare for that for Valentine's Day. For those that don't know, I'm a sous chef at a kind of, I guess, the fanciest restaurant in a little rural town where I live, adjacent to Nashville. So, that's what I've done almost all of my adult life, and I guess all of my adult life really. And so it's just part of the nature of the beast, and you prepare for that. But this week in particular, I don't know what's going on. We had birthday parties and baby showers, and I don't know. It just party after party after party, and just busy after busy day and busy lunch, and it's just been crazy. So,
and this isn't even like the busiest time of the year. Like, isn't that going to be next week?
Yeah. You would think
for Valentine's Day.
Yeah, the week leading up to Valentine's Day generally is. Some people try to get in, when they can't get in because Valentine's Day falls on a Wednesday, which is our first day of opening back up after what would be our quote unquote weekend, which is Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I don't know. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I've been getting a lot of inquiries and stuff about tables. So
yes,
I've been selling, we've got a $4,300 table, a custom table, going out at the beginning of April, and so finally got that all signed off on and paid for. It's for a local customer. The guy wants it's an 8-person dining table.
Is that just 4 people on the long sides then?
3 by 3, and then one on each end, the head and the opposite end of the table. So it's just a long rectangle table, about 96 inches. So we can't ship anything like that, but this guy is going to pick it up. Well, he says he's going to pick it up, and I have to deliver a table tomorrow to a customer who's going to pick it up. And something fell through. I think her husband switched jobs and didn't have access to the truck he once had. So now, it was that or freight, or they were going to come beginning of March, and I just said, I'll tell you what, I will rent out a cargo van and I will personally deliver it to you.
Bring it to you. Shiloh, the delivery driver.
Yep. So
we need to add that to like your jingle for the Housewood Designs. It just needs to be like Housewood Designs. Get your wood on. Now coming to you. I don't know. My creative instincts are...
When you really need a table and you can't get there, Palswood Designs or something like that. I don't know. I'm bad with jingles. Funny fact about me, I went to high school with a girl whose dad wrote a very famous jingle.
Okay.
And I had no idea. We had a study group over at her house. A group of us, this was in high school, early in high school.
Okay.
And I noticed like a Grammy or some sort of like record on the wall. And I'm like, what is that from? And he's like, oh, it's for my dad. I'm like, oh, well, did he write? What did he write? She said, oh, he wrote the Scooby-Doo theme song. I'm like, what?
What?
Everyone knows the Scooby-Doo theme song, right?
Yeah.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo. I don't want to sing it for too long
because you didn't write it.
Because I kind of know the man that wrote it. But yeah, that was funny.
That's fun.
Anyway, so yeah, that's my jingle story.
Maybe that can be one of the Deck of Many Things is just random Shiloh factoid.
Famous person. Yeah.
Yeah. There are a few of those you have, but who knows? Yeah. I have not done a whole lot. I got sick on Saturday. I mean, we're recording on a Sunday, so it's only been 2 days, but even still, like just with work this week and now being sick, I have effectively done very little. In the video game sphere, I have played some V Rising, went and cleaned up some of the V Bloods that are on the higher level end of things. Really love that game. As far as survival games go, I think it's probably my favorite at the moment. I don't know. I guess I was thinking about this, and I don't really have like if there's one genre that I'm not super into, it's probably survival. And so I don't really have a lot of experience with them, but V Rising is probably one of the better ones in my opinion. Aside from that, I have been leveling my Blood Elf monk in the Mists of Pandaria, which has been quite exciting. One, they really nailed the aesthetic and feel of the zone. And there was a little tweet. We still call them tweets. Are we ever not going to wonder that?
I'm 50, so I
don't can't teach an old dog new tricks. So
yeah, I just claim senility and just move on. So.
Anyway, there was a tweet, an X post, posted by an X tweet. It has different connotations entirely.
X tweeter.
But there was this post by World of Warcraft, and it was asking, what is your favorite expansion in the game? And I have no eggs in the basket to offer some sort of opinion on the matter, but I do like reading what people's opinions are. And surprisingly, I mean, you could probably guess which one had the most likes.
Wrath,
yeah. Or the most mentions. But then surprisingly, Legion was up there too, but surprisingly, Mists of Pandaria had quite a few mentions. And for a lot of stuff, but, notably like the music, the feel and aesthetics, like I just said, and then the story too. And so I've been doing the story. And as someone whose son is in a martial arts, and I took a martial arts, or I took it, I guess you study. I studied a martial arts for 4 years when I was a lot younger. And that sort of like discipline and I guess honor and respect baked into like this culture is pretty prevalent in Mists of Pandaria. Like I just did a bunch of quests for the Tien Monastery in the Jade Forest. And it was really entertaining. And it's helped, too, that I've been sick. And so I have, shut my brain off. I wasn't in Discord voice chat because I don't want to talk. Here I am recording a podcast. But I didn't want to just sit there and, I'm not on my A game. And so I didn't want to just go socialize, if you will. And so I just sat in the Jade Forest on my little blood elf monk and had a really good time. And it got me thinking to what you had been saying about that expansion and just how much you had fun there, leveling and stuff. And of course, like I've not done all of BFA, I've not done hardly anything of Legion, and then the others just straight up haven't touched. But Mists is oh no, that's not true. I did start leveling a Death Knight in Wrath, and while the zones are really cool, it does feel old. Mists of Pandaria feels a little newer, so I just find more affinity towards it. But yeah, one thing though, and maybe you can help me with this, is there, like, if you just go and level, if you just go and do all the quests, right? Like you see all those little exclamation marks and you go and do them. Am I wrong in thinking I'm going to completely out-level the stuff that I'm doing there? Like effectively I'm going to get to 60 before I've even seen like half of the continent?
Yeah, you're correct in that.
Okay. So should I maybe ignore some of that stuff and just go and try to follow the main, which I'm assuming the main quest is anything, since I'm Horde, I'm assuming it's anything to do with the Horde people, the Nazgrim Sergeant, whatever his name is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess just focus on the campaign. That's probably the best route for both BFA and, because I almost finished BFA and but not quite, and then hit 60. I was like, well, all right, I guess we're leaving again. But I did finish all of like Vol'dun, which I didn't get to. So that's what I've been doing. Kind of piggybacking off what your WoW. I've just been leveling my Volpera
Mage.
Fire Mage, Kimchi, and been a lot of fun. I'm 62 now, so I guess I saw the writing on the wall and knew that this week, the next week, probably the week after that.
Yeah.
And then another thing that I'll mention will kind of get in the way a little bit, I think, game wise. But I just
sorry about that.
No problem.
I'm just dying over here.
I didn't get to see Vol'dun on my first run through of BFA on the Horde side. I don't remember what I did that on. Oh, I guess I did it on my Rogue. And so I didn't really get to do much in there because I'd already hit 60. I think when I was leveling the Rogue, there was a celebration event or something, so it was 20% more XP or one of those types of things. So I was even leveling more. Faster than I normally would, but now I actually got to settle down and didn't have any extra buffs or whatever. So managed to get through almost all of BFA and then hit 60, and now I'm in the Dragon Isles doing that grind. And I think I had mentioned that I was looking at maybe just buying a bump from 60 to 70 just to not really have to do any of the Dragon Isles, because it'd be like the 4th or 5th time that I've done it. Kind of, it's a good expansion. I'm not downplaying that at all, but it's just after you've done it so many times, it's like, all right, can I just skip this and get on to the gear grind? But $60 just for
that's
a
insane.
level 70. Yeah,
but people pay it, and that's another thing too. Is like I don't care what alliance people play on, or faction, I guess, because one is called Alliance. And I've never cared about that, right? Like, that's specific to PvP, usually. I think, I'm obviously, with World of Warcraft, there are story element differences, and there always have been. Well, there was, and then as times have evolved, I'm pretty sure you get most of the, like Dragonflight, I'm assuming on a Horde character is pretty much the same on Alliance.
It's all the same.
So they're slowly doing away with that. But here's I guess just another segue question for you. Do you care about Alliance or faction or whatever in games typically? Or is it like, okay, like you just don't feel a allegiance to any one of them?
No, I was actually thinking about this and how funny it is how games have, well, in particular, MMOs with factions and things have shifted over the years, and
Yeah.
you don't really see that good versus evil type of thing anymore. It's not even really in World of Warcraft, as Horde is not really technically evil, and Alliance is not, can be argued, not technically good. So,
Yes.
but you used to see it a lot. EverQuest 2 is a lot like that, and when I think back on it, I probably played the good side more because the evil side just seemed a little too like on the nose. Like, well, we would take you out, but you fed that dog, and we normally kill dogs, so why would you want to kill me for I don't know. But anyway, that's that sort of thing was kind of the evil side was kind of looked down upon, and so it's like, no, I guess I have to go with the good guys because the evil sides are just a bunch of D's. So
I know they make like even in Baldur's Gate 3, you can play a good run or you can play an actual bad guy run, and I feel like most people probably end up doing the good guy run just out of nature, I suppose, unless you're like sitting down to be like, yes, I want to play this and I'm going to make all the bad decisions. But like when I played Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, so 1 or 2, I had a hard time playing like a full-blown Sith character because a lot of the things you have to do are like
bad,
evil.
bad.
Yeah, and it's like I couldn't. I think I did it in one playthrough of the first game, and then the second game I just stuck to good the whole time. But like, yeah, the first game, like some of the stuff you have to do, like you lose out on companions because of it. You lose out on other stuff. And so I'm of the opinion, like, and especially in WoW's case, where from what I have seen, the Horde is just a different flavor, and this again is, I'm speaking strictly Mists of Pandaria because I'd never did any of the base game stuff or anything, but like a lot of the interactions you have, like, the Horde is very much like destroy the Alliance, all this stuff. But then I'm pretty sure you get that same vibe from Alliance people too, like we must defeat the Horde. They just use maybe more friendly language. But like as the Horde, we land on this island shrouded in mist, Pandaria, and I've already befriended an entire race of monkey people named Hosen, and the Horde contacts you have are very much like you know what, it's good that we were able to befriend this group. They could help us lay claim to this place, and it's not very black or white. It's all just gray. And I feel like it's in because there's that Rivet Clutch Pop. He's some goblin engineer or something. I am pretty sure I did a quest that involved somebody. I think this is what I might be reading through the lines, but I'm pretty sure you're throwing these like stink bombs at these fish people, and I'm pretty sure those stink bombs are being produced in an outhouse, which is a pretty interesting connotation there. But I just really have been enjoying that. But the same goes for the Alliance. Like, it's just a different flavor. Like, what do you want to experience in the game? And if you don't have the motivations of PvP, which I literally never do, then it's just like, okay, what story do I wish to experience with this particular character that I'm playing? In this case, I did a monk on the Alliance side. That's my main level 70 tune. And now this new monk is now on the Horde side, just a different flavor. So, but like ESO, as you were saying, like games have kind of shied away from it. ESO, it only matters for the Cyrodiil, right? So it's like, it doesn't matter outside of that. What else? New World PvP. So there you go.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of any other. Guild Wars 2 doesn't really have it. I mean, there's like server, or there was, but now they've changed that too. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Good old factions.
Yeah. It's just something I thought of, and I was like, oh, I'm kind of glad that games have gone away from that. I don't know. It doesn't really matter to me much, but when I want to choose a side, I at least have more sides to choose from, because
Yes.
I don't feel like, all right, I gotta roll up, Edgelord 526 and run around with an axe and pretend I hate everything. I don't know. So
Yeah.
anyway, so there was another thing that I kind of popped up on both of our radars. I know that you had mentioned, you sent me a tell, was it yesterday, I believe?
Yeah.
That you'd gotten an invite
This is a whole thing.
to Morningdale. Was
No,
that it?
Nightingale.
Not Nightingale. God, Morningdale's a zone in New World. Anyway, Nightingale. And we mentioned this game on the show. It's a kind of a fae fantasy survival.
Yep. Last episode.
Remnant 2 kind of
Survival crafting.
Yeah, with a little bit of, I don't know, you call it steampunk, but there's like power punk or
Victorian.
light punk.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's got Victorian lights and things interwoven with that in the game. I watched it was a stress test, and
Yes.
you had missed it. It was on Friday.
So
And I would have missed it by
I have a
2
bone
days
to pick because I got the email from Steam after it had already ended. So I wouldn't even have seen it
thanks.
anyway.
Yeah. But the game's supposed to be released in early access on February 22nd. And we were like, oh, okay. I watched some dinner tonight, and I was like, some guy popped up on my YouTube feed, and it was a stress test for, I think his name is Cryptic Fox. And he was just streaming.
Is that one of Tempest's alter egos?
Yeah, it's Tempest's
Obviously.
brother from the States, I think. And yeah, it looks good. It really does. The only thing that I have, it was basically him. Looks like the stress test. They put you not necessarily in the tutorial part, but they put you like far or kind of in the middle of the game. And gave you just a bunch of resources to build stuff. And, I think it was a 3-hour stress test between 1 and 4, somebody's standard time. I don't know. But it looked good. It really did. And I was like, oh, maybe this will be the survival
game that
fun,
you like.
craftable game that I could play. Yeah. And I'll post V Rising, too, for you guys. So it might kind of come into that play about that time. So
yeah, Tempest is very keen on Enshrouded too, and so there just seems to be like a lot of these.
Yeah, that's a single player game though, right?
No,
or can you play multiplayer?
Yeah, you can buy servers for it. So what's interesting to me is, as I mentioned earlier, survival games are probably like not my least favorite genre. That would probably go to like sports games that aren't racing. Yeah. But it's definitely a genre that I don't typically, I guess, play a lot of. And I'm not sure why. I don't know if it's typically that the story elements of it are very sparse, which is not always the case with some.
Vague at best, generally.
And, of course, like they're leaving you to make up your own story. V Rising's a good example of this. You're dropped in. There is no story. You're just exploring the land, becoming a vampire. That's actually not true. There is a story, and the majority of it can be summarized in that opening cutscene when you're loading the game about how vampires used to rule the land, and then the humans, banded together and all but destroyed you. And so, obviously, you're getting your revenge. But there's no story, The Lego Fortnite. There's no story. There's not much of a story to Fortnite in general, which, unless you read into all the meta story with the events and all whatever. But like for Lego Fortnite, there's really not a story. You're just surviving. But Grounded was a little different, and Grounded did have a bit of a story element, you know, trying to figure out why you were shrunk down to the size of a bug. So whatever. So I'll be curious to see with Nightingale if they include a big story element into it.
Well, I mean, they showed a NPC Puck. It's basically a Fae. You see him in the trailer. He's got the mask on, like a green little. He definitely looks Fae, like a fawn or something. And
gotcha.
Had some voiceover. It sounded really, really good, and so it seemed like there was a whole story kind of woven in through. I'm sure in the tutorial that this guy was in the middle of the game, so I don't know if this guy just follows you around and kind of gives you nudges here and there, or I don't know how that all works, but should be interesting.
Well. And I'm probably, someone out there is probably saying like, oh, what about this game? That, you know, it has a story. And so I'm probably ignorant to a lot of it. You know, a lot of survival games do. I mean, I guess Subnautica is an example too. Like there is a whole story in Subnautica that you can uncover. I guess for me, it's just the loop I find fun for like, you know, 10 to 20 hours sometimes. V-Rising, I've played for 50 hours and I still enjoy it. So it just depends on the game. But yeah, but there's a lot of those. Enshrouded just came out. Pal World, Lego Fortnite. We've got Nightingale. I think PAX Day is going to be somewhat similar, but more MMO oriented. So maybe this is the year of survival games. I don't know.
Arc 2 is supposed to come out, and of course Arc 1's been out forever.
Yes.
Rust and Conan Exiles and blah 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 blah. But we played Arc for a while and did enjoy it, but then, you know, I think the loop or the brutality of starting out kind of gets to you after a while, and I guess it's probably true in most of them, but we'll see. I think it could be a fun game, though. It definitely had a pretty quick and easy to learn, but very versatile crafting and building.
Nightingale did?
Looked cool. Yeah,
okay.
Looked very cool. So we shall see on that one.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I am not too interested in survival games, but I am interested in playing and experiencing them. Whether I stick with them or not, you know, only time will tell. But yeah, it should be fascinating to see how Nightingale stacks up with all these other ones that have come out in recent months, or other ones that, you know, V-Rising's been in early access for a few years now. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I think you know, and that's probably because I'm sick too, but I'm just kind of like, I just need to shut my brain off. And so that's why I've spent more time this weekend in WoW, because not to say you can completely shut your brain off in that game, but just questing is very relaxing and stress free. And so I've been enjoying that. I did want to say, and I don't know, we can, like I said at the beginning, this is going to be a shorter episode. You know, you got a lot to do tomorrow. I am on my deathbed, apparently. But we can make this the last topic, or we can segue, who knows. But our friend Ardeth started streaming Lord of the Rings online. Now, Ardeth, when you listen to this episode, you have our support in continuing that as much as you want. But what I wanted to say is I'm watching him play this game, and I don't think the game looks as bad as people, you know, for a game that's almost, 14 years old? No, even older than that. Wasn't it 2008 or something? So
yeah, around that time.
It doesn't look fantastic, but it doesn't look absolutely terrible. But the thing that was interested me is, one, something that Ardeth said, where it is the most faithful adaptation of the original material, and then two, the fact that it is set in the same era of the trilogy. So it's not set in the Silmarillion, you know, which is just like an encyclopedia or whatever. It's not set like thousands of years ahead of time. It's not set after the fact. It's set in the trilogy era. And so I guess they've had major events in the game, and the most recent one was the actual, or I guess where the story currently lies, is the they've already destroyed the ring. But going through all this, and like you can go, he was showing me like you can, obviously you talked to, he made a Hobbit burglar, but he can, you know, he's talking to Strider. He was able to go to Tom Bombadil's house, and you know, Tom Bombadil is the Tom Bombadil you'd expect. And so I think that at some point, and we've talked about this before on the show, that we want to go and visit old MMOs for like an episode or 2 or 3 or something. And we do know that SWTOR is on that list, but I think we should add Lord of the Rings Online to that list at some point.
Yeah.
How much time did you spend playing that? That was
years.
Yeah, it was, I mean, it was like your main MMO for a while, right?
Post EverQuest 2 and definitely pre ESO. There was there were a handful of games between EverQuest 2 and ESO, obviously, but Age of Conan and Ion and Rift, but Lord of the Rings Online was, I think, the first game that I kind of gravitated towards after my EverQuest 2 was pretty much said and done. So, and I stuck with that game for years, sometimes more off than on, but a lot of times more on than off. So, because I think back in, I don't remember if it was a sub. I think initially it was a sub game. You had to have a subscription to play. And of course I gravitated towards not doing that, but I'd definitely be down for that. I would roll up a new tune and play along. I do love that game. I think it does, for as old as it is, I think graphically environments are really, really good in that game. The systems that they have in that game, sometimes, I mean, the only other game that I could think of that has in-game music is New World, and Lotro did it.
I was
years before.
There's music in all these games. I see what you mean now, like actual playing
in-game
the instruments.
Player music, and that was really, really cool and fun. And we have talked on that a lot, but there are a number of different things in that game that are really, really fun and cool. And like Artis said, the material is pretty well documented, that it kind of covers like straight from the heart. So they try not to deviate from, they don't put weird classes in the game that wouldn't fit the lore of the game. Like you wouldn't see a warlock just pop out of nowhere and with minions and all these other stuff. So it's very, very true, as much as they can kind of skirt by with doing some of that. But there aren't really wizards or lore masters that are basically scholarly dudes that kind of try to imitate Gandalf. Like, that's pretty much what it is, just a bunch of pseudo faux Gandalfs, just running around. I am the next wizard. No, you're just Harvey from Bree. Harvey. That read a lot on his days off. So,
well, that's fun.
Yeah, it's. I think the combat is obviously slow, and it's but there's some really cool things that they do with that game that you still don't see that much in the current MMO sphere. They had a kind of I guess, like, I don't remember what they called it, but it was a interaction type thing where a character could trigger, I know as a burglar, you could trigger this kind of chain of events. And if everyone in a party completed a certain chain of events, it would like spawn this kind of like an ultimate or something.
Oh,
like in Final Fantasy 14, you have the crap. What is that called?
Limit breaks or something.
The limit break.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. Except it's a bigger, grandiose thing. Think of like the Warden, the tree, ultimate in
Right.
ESO.
What's interesting is that's kind of a Kingdom Hearts type. I don't think it's attributed to Kingdom Hearts. Maybe more Final Fantasy, but like in Kingdom Hearts, you can
that
pair
sort of
with
thing.
your people in your party for these big abilities.
Yeah, that's the way it kind of did. And depending on who initiated and how it ends or something would determine, like, sometimes it was a overarching heal, sometimes it was a kind of an AoE, or not an AoE, but like more of like a dot, like almost like a poison. Sometimes it was just a big bam. Sometimes it was like a shield or something for the party. It was just really cool, but they had effects, and that was always really fun to see in the game and kind of activate that. But yeah, and the way they do some things in the Doom, I think they call it, or Gloom. I can't remember if they Doom or Gloom. Maybe it's Gloom. I don't know. But it's this whole meter system, depending on, like, if you're in the Burrow Downs, where there's lots of undead and stuff, if you eventually, if you Doom or Gloom or whatever it is, meter gets to a certain point and you can build up resistance to that. But if it gets to a certain point, you'll just cower in fear from like these undead creatures and all this other stuff. It's a really, really interesting system that they have in place, but there's lots of that in the game. So despite all of its age, the systems are good. I know that the new people are raving about the new expansion that they just released. I don't remember the name of it.
Wait, like just released, like within the past few years?
This year or last year, late last year. I don't think it's Gundabad. I don't remember where it's located, but it's, from what I've heard, it kind of added almost like, not tropical, but it's something you just never really see. And but it's an area of Middle Earth that you just don't really
hear about,
see that often. And but it's got almost like a lush forest, tropical sort of vibe, almost like, I don't know, Florida or the Caribbean or something. So it's
Hawaii,
like,
maybe.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's sounds interesting. But yeah, I would definitely be down to giving that game a shot, or Tor. Well, SWTOR, whatever you want to call it. But
yeah, we need to do like a. I mean, listener, you're no stranger. If this is your first episode, well, I'm sorry. But if this is not your first episode...
First off, we're sorry.
Yeah, we're sick, and this is a short episode. It's just filler. But one thing that we really like with this concept of questing the multiverse is just pivoting all the time. Pivot doing Final Fantasy 14. Now we're going to do something else. We did Baldur's Gate 3, then start, whatever. So... I think it would be fun to have as sort of a off and on segment or episodes where we just, go explore different MMOs. We got SWTOR, we got Lotro now. I know that I have suggested RuneScape. And then for you were, was it EverQuest 2 or one of those?
I don't know if I could suggest that one.
There was one that you mentioned would be like your equivalent. Maybe it was Lotro. I don't know. But
yeah, it might have been Lotro.
There's just all these older MMOs that I feel like we could go explore and, not plan on staying there for a while. In fact, that was another topic of conversation that I was thinking about once, is I was like, I don't know. I just don't think players typically stay in a single game now. You would stay in World of Warcraft back in 2004 and 5 and 6 and so on because there wasn't a lot of options that offered the same thing. And all your friends were there. But now you've got friends that you can easily connect with. I hate that word, connect with, by the way. That's it's a fun little factoid of Coniff. That is my least favorite word in the way that I used it, like to be like, hey, like we should connect sometime. Hate it. Anyway, you can easily interact with your friends now without having to commit to a singular title. And so I think it's really interesting to consider the fact that I just don't think, any MMO that comes out is going to, it's not going to force people to want to only play it. Because there's just no way. Like, it would have to do literally everything. And it would have to be in development for 20 million years, which, Star Citizen is up there. So I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Or have enough content to where you feel like you... Yes. I think Guild Wars 2 is a prime example for both of us, that we had the entire catalog, which isn't a quote unquote huge catalog, but if you do a lot of that game, it is a lot of content.
Yeah, it took me a whole year to get through the story, and I took a 2-month break to play WoW the first time. But also it helps that in that game you can go do the story from every expansion in order. Whereas something like WoW, like, you can't do that on a singular character.
Convoluted. Yeah.
Final Fantasy 14 is going to be the same way, but that, after just having completed my Guild Wars 2 mountain of content, that was a bit daunting to go into. So
yeah, and that is another game that, that's very, very daunting. That game has a lot of story that can be good, can be bad. It just depends on where you are and what you expect and how well you can just sit and watch and play and watch and play and watch and play and watch and play. It just, it demands that to a degree. And sometimes that can be really overbearing, I think. At least it can be, even for me. And especially if you're not that big into Final Fantasy.
Yes.
Like probably myself and yourself. But it's very, very good, but it is demanding, and it just takes that frame of mind to sometimes just need to step away and take a break and just be like, okay.
Well,
hold on. Let me
regroup. I just don't know if back in 2007 and 2006 or whatever, like, I played a lot of different, gaming was a glory era back then too, I think people would say, probably. But like, as far as multiplayer games went, I mean, the only option, we didn't have an Xbox in my house, and so we didn't have Xbox Live. And so the only option I had for playing with my friends was RuneScape. And so that game was consistent, for years of what I would play. But then I also played like Guitar Hero. I also played Halo on Newbie's Xbox. It was Newbie. And, I'm just sitting here and thinking back, I was like, even then, I don't think I was someone who could just like devote myself entirely to a single game. And so those people that have, they're a different type of personality, a different type of gamer, where they are perfectly content only playing one game. It's like, look at it this way. Our friend Warsaucer or even Brennis, like, they are content being Elder Scrolls Online players. I don't know if they play a ton of other games, maybe dabble here and there, but like, they are perfectly fine and content just playing that one game. And I've been thinking about myself. I was like, I just don't see myself ever being that type of person. And I don't know that it's a fault, but like talking about Lord of the Rings Online, like, it would be fun to go and experience it, but I just could never commit to like actually playing it, nothing but it for months to years. I guess,
I mean, I definitely fall into that category of someone that basically sticks with games for an extended period of time.
I don't know. You play a lot of different stuff now, though.
Well, yeah.
I guess more.
But I think the options are there, and so if the options are there, I'll definitely give other things a shot. Or I've completed what I want to complete in particular games, and I just like, okay, well, I'll just put that game on hold and go do something else. And there's not a reason right now for me to keep playing Guild Wars 2.
Yeah.
I could to achievement hunt until my eyes bled, but I've got a good amount of, I've got over 10,000 or whatever achievement score, and got 3
almost 500
legendary.
mastery.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, okay, I'm good for that.
Yeah.
I'm good for that game for right now, and we'll see what happens. But, and WoW is the current thing, and I've got Final Fantasy 14 and go, there are lots of games out there, but I've always, since Ultima Online, I've been primarily an MMO player. Yeah. And so if an MMO catches my eye, and, Ultima Online lasted maybe 2 months with my brother and I, then we were like, all right, we're out, and eventually joined the Asheron's Call ship, and we kind of missed the EverQuest boat, the original EverQuest boat. And but I played Asheron's Call for years, and then Asheron's Call 2, and then EverQuest 2 eventually for almost 5 or 6 years. So
yeah,
it is what it is. And if you enjoy it, then keep playing it, and that's pretty much what I do. And once I get tired of it, we mentioned before with the rating thing, that's when I left EverQuest 2. It was like, okay, things got salty and not as much fun for me anymore, and I just kind of left. Yep. So when it becomes too much of a job and not necessarily playing a game and having fun, no, that's generally why I bail. But I have like 2 jobs, man. But I have jobs, so I don't need another one.
I don't need a job in my free time either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I concur with all that. And I think that's going to be something that most people my age and older are going to be able to associate with. When it was 2007, I didn't have a career. I was just playing games because it was something I enjoyed doing. Now we might play games as a way of unwinding or escaping, or instead of watching movies or TV shows or even reading books, like people turn to video games as their form of escapism or adventure. We can't just go on a wild quest in the real world today to like find treasure and whatever. That's called grand larceny, and so
that's a no.
It's not good. And so it just allows you this opportunity to live out in these these worlds. And so I just feel like most people tend to gravitate that way once you reach a certain age. If your job starts, because like I've met younger people who play those survival games and like 100% them, and I'm like, I can't do that. I appreciate the games, but I just can't play anything with a sort of devotion that would have me grind anymore. Like even RuneScape, there's no grind like there was. And that's why I won't play old school RuneScape, because the old school RuneScape seeks to capture the way RuneScape was in 2007. Well, in 2007, I didn't have a career or a family, and so I was able to grind woodcutting to 99 like an insane human. Not anymore. And they've eliminated a lot of the grinds. They've made things shorter, and so it is what it is. But yeah. I don't know. This is just kind of a cathartic chat about whatever comes up type episode. So again, if you are new and you made it this far, we appreciate it. We've got 22 other episodes that you can listen to for more structured content. But, hopefully next week, both of us are feeling chipper. Is that the right word? Dapper? Nope. On the up and up, whatever. Yeah. No, you won't, because Valentine's Day's when? Friday?
No, it's the Wednesday after the next time. Next Sunday. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't even know where we are at in the month, apparently. So, all right. Well, do you have any final thoughts of anything you just need to get off your chest?
No, I'm tempted to download Lord of the Rings online and.
Yeah, you can go play with Ardeth at the very least. He's been. I hope he can. Like I said, I hope you continue streaming Ardeth. He did a stream today that I missed because all the kids were awake still, about just chatting about the universe. I really like Lord of the Rings as a whole, as an IP. I think I want to read the books this year. I don't know how committed I am to that, just because that's an endeavor. And I'm talking strictly the trilogy.
The three.
Yeah, not the Silmarillion or the Hobbit, but we'll see. I really appreciate that IP for what it's done for fantasy for the past, 50 years or more, however long it's been.
It's been
a long time.
60, 70, 60 years.
Yeah, so I hope Ardeth, you keep it up so we can, maybe you and Shiloh can get in there and putz around to do some things on a stream once. But, well, thank you, listener, for less than an hour of your time today. We appreciate you listening, and just your feedback and discussion and all that jazz. So we still need a good little catchphrase, but my brain's shutting off as I speak. Peace.
Adios. Questing the Multiverse is brought to you in part by Coniff Productions, Howes Wood Designs, and Joel Crawford. To follow along with our adventures, please follow us on Twitter at QTM Podcast and consider joining our Discord, a link of which can be found in the show notes or in our Twitter bio. Want your questions or comments read on the show? Email us at questingthemultiverse@gmail.com. Finally, if you enjoyed this episode, please consider giving us a review or a follow wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you for listening.